This is the Cafe Racer Podcast, episode 132 for September 12th, 2018. I'm Daddy No Fun.
I'm Crash.
And I'm Ted.
Steve, do you hear music playing?
I hear music playing.
I think you're the only one.
And it's recording, and we're talking over it.
That's what post-production is for.
Well, that's another one. 2 in a row we didn't screw up, except Crash talked over the intro music.
Well, and then anybody watching on YouTube doesn't hear the music.
Wait a second. Hold on a second. We're doing this. All right. Let me hit the recorder. Maybe that will help.
Okay. Yeah.
So redo the intro at the end because
Did the intro not get recorded?
dumbass didn't have the recorder on. Actually, I can pull it off. I'll pull it off the other thing. All right, so we got a guest. If you guys didn't notice, we've got a guy with us here that's not unknown to the motorcycle industry.
A guy.
A dude.
We've collaborated. He kind of looks like the dude.
Dude?
We've
I've been duded? Is that it?
We've collaborated with Ted before. So, Ted, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're about and why you're here?
Oh, okay. Well, Steve called me up and said, we need you. I am Ted, and I'm host of the Motorcycle Men podcast. And apparently I'm here because I know something about Harley Davidsons. So
you're here as a resident subject matter expert.
Expert is might be taking it a little bit too far. I'm just, as I said previously, just an uber loyalist.
If you know anything more than Crash and I, you're an expert because we can't even get the naming convention down right.
Okay.
Nope.
DXR, DFR, XD.
Yeah. I will do my very best to not be too biased. I promise.
No, you can be. I don't care. I mean, it's
okay. I will be.
I'm glad that we got you on it. The reason we called you is a couple episodes ago. We saw the announcement from Harley Davidson on the new motorcycles, and I have been saying for a really long time that I wanted them to make the Livewire. I saw a demo one that was, I think Crash and I were together when we saw it. It was at the AIM Expo, and it was mounted up on like a rolling wheel, so you could get on the thing. They fired it up. You could feel the throttle response, and I'm like, man, if this thing comes out with more than 100-mile range, I might buy one.
Yeah.
That being said, it also boils down to price too. And I think Harley's smart enough to try to keep it in line with something similar. I don't know. What do you think?
What do I think about the Livewire?
No, the price. I mean, just in general, how they're going to price it.
Oh, how they're going to price it. Oh, well, there. Well, if for them to be competitive and because it's such a new market, I don't see this thing coming in for anywhere less than 18.
Okay. I was thinking between 15 and 20, which is a pretty wide range, you know?
Because, and it's funny because as you know, they had a partnership with Alta, and then they just announced, I believe it was last week, that they're no longer partners with Alta anymore.
Yeah, I heard about that. I think it was last week.
And it's funny. There's a running joke I had heard was where they said something like, hey, there's some nice stuff here. We like what you're doing. Where's your copy machine and where's the back door? So they kind of, and because a lot of the designs that they're showing on the with their EV bikes and even with the Livewire look very much like what I was doing.
The funny thing is that that's not a joke, because I worked in the dive industry for years, and I worked for a really small company based out of Fort Lauderdale that made some really innovative products, and some of their designs were the basis of a lot of other products in the dive industry. And the owner of the company had a lot of patents, and we were being courted by a large manufacturer out of Europe to buy the company. And it was the same thing. They sent engineers to the factory, like whining and dining everybody. And then all of a sudden the conversation stopped. Next thing you know, their next release of product had all that designs in it.
Yeah.
The guy I worked for, a patent is only as good as how much you're willing to protect it. And this guy went out of his way to protect it, and he won, against a huge manufacturer. And now they pay a royalty on everything that they sell with that design in it. So
Yeah, we don't know what what went on there, and obviously, Harley Davidson and them, it's probably a mutual agreement to just let's cut our ties because we're doing two totally different things here. But
Alta's doing a lot of those like electric dirt bikes and stuff.
Yeah, I tell you what, their stuff is really cool. It's all supermoto and just
Right.
dirt bikes, and they have like 5 or 6 different models.
There's a good possibility that Harley entered into a licensing agreement with them, and it's just not going to be known.
That's very possible too.
Yeah.
And if you, like I said, if you look at what Alta does and what Harley is conceptually created, it looks very much like what, as far as it goes for the motors now. Looks
so the latest imagery that they're putting out is probably going to be the production model, don't you think?
The Livewire? Absolutely. Yeah. I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that I think they're pretty much settled on their design. I don't think they're going to go crazy with it, or much variations of what they have already. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So right. I think that what you're gonna see is it. And it doesn't look too different from what they announced 4 years ago.
Not really. No, it's pretty close for the most part.
I think the only thing that's really massively different is going to be the technology.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna have to be, because when I talked to one of the guys at AIM, they were like, we just don't have the battery technology yet. It's not there. It was very
going on by what Alta is doing. If they, like you said, did a licensing agreement with Alta and they have any of that stuff, their recharge times are varying between 1.5 hours to 6 hours on their bikes, and that's at 240 volts. With the level 2 charger. They're getting, it's weird, but their cheapest bike, I think, is only getting like a 60-mile range. So I think if Harley to be really competitive with this, or to make people go, yeah, this is great, or even to compete with Zero, they're going to have to get between 60 and 100-mile range on these bikes, at least.
Yeah.
Because 100-mile range would make it practical for commuting for a lot of.
Exactly. The previous iteration only got 58.
Right. And if I could plug that thing in even to a 110 outlet at work, for 8 hours, then fine, I ride home.
Yeah, you can. Like I said, they do have the 120 volt and the 240 volt versions. Well, that's what Alta did, and I'm assuming that they're going to do the same thing. They're going to share that kind of technology.
Crash, tell them what you heard on Phil's show.
Oh yeah, so I was listening to Cleveland Moto, and I guess with like aftermarket charger things, there's this guy. I can't remember his name. Gonna try to reach out and get him on the show once I figure out who he is again. But he's got a Zero SR, and he's got like the one that has the most batteries. So I think he even has the power tank, which is like where the gas tank.
Oh yeah, I heard that episode. I listened.
Yes. Dude goes like 200 or for 2 hours and then charges for 45 minutes, and he's fully charged again. It's crazy.
Yeah, and the guy was like, the gentleman was, I can't remember his name either, but he was saying that he says, you think 45 minutes is a long time, but you stop and people talk to you, you go to get a cup of coffee, and the next thing you know, you've been there an hour already.
Right. I mean, like, I'm thinking about like trips I've taken, and I've spent a lot more time in the saddle than that, but breaking it up, like ride for 2 hours, take a break, hang out, ride for 2 more hours. That sounds kind of like really nice. And it would I'm the kind of person that I will ride right past something pretty and go, oh, I should have taken a picture of that. Like, it would be a great way to like make me like kind of keep a more normal pace, Yeah.
No, absolutely. I totally agree.
So that's coming out, and then there's something that they released. It's going to be available sooner. Is the FXDR 114?
Oh, the FXDR is out now.
It is. I want to. So like, I've never been a power cruiser guy until I rode a Diavel, and or Diavel. I don't know how you pronounce it. Crash, you know how to pronounce it?
I think it's Diavel or whatever.
Diavel. The Ducati. You familiar with that, Ted?
Absolutely. Yep.
I rode that thing and
never rode one.
I know Alonso's got one, and it was funny because we were talking about it a while ago, and I'm like, man, I just don't get that. It's just not something I'd ride. And then I did a test ride on one, and I texted him that day, and I'm like, I get it now. It was a lot.
You're talking about Alonso Bowden?
Yeah.
So I talked to him the other day. He actually got rid of his Diavel because it was hit. And he's taking all the parts off of the Diavel and putting them onto an old Honda CBX. So he's making this like Honda CBX Ducati Diavel hybrid.
Working on that CBX forever.
Oh God, that's gonna be it.
But his, you know what his baby is now? His baby now is a Roadmaster.
Oh,
really?
he has a he has an Indian, and he has a Rocket 3 as well.
Nah, last time I talked to him, he sent me pictures. He's got the Roadmaster, he's got the BMW, and the Grom.
Yeah, I saw him.
He's got a
couple days
Grom.
ago.
Yes,
yeah. Gigantic, like 6'4" or 5" Alonzo Bowden has a Grom.
His famous saying is, what's great about the Grom is if you feel like you're going to crash, you just stand up.
Yeah.
Just let it go out from underneath you. There it goes. I'm done.
Yep.
Yeah. So this FXDR, man, I mean, I was comparing the specs to the Diavel, and yeah, it's not the same. It's a little bit heavier, a little bit less horsepower. It's got a lot more torque though. But man, it's a cool looking bike, and I definitely want to ride one.
They sunk some new tech into that, where that swing arm, as you look at it, it's got a longer wheelbase. Most of the other soft tail models, and that's a new carbon fiber thing that they slapped on there. And the other co-host on my podcast, he actually works for a local Harley dealer. He had a chance to sit on a thing and take it for a cruise, and he's just it's insanely fast because they made it. Its geometry is totally different. And he said it can cut corners. Despite that 240 rear wheel on it, that thing can take corners really, really well.
Looks good in the videos. I see him going around a track on it, and they're kind of flying, you know. It's funny that before we went on the air, we were having a conversation about the CARB standard and California emissions, and you're absolutely right, Ted. They have a price listing here at $200 more for California emissions. Now they're probably not putting a whole lot on there for $200. Yeah. So,
I mean, they got that new 2-in-1 exhaust on this thing, which a lot of people are complaining about because it's it's not typical Harley, but it's got a great exhaust note. My friend over at Bike and Bird video blog, Justin, he took it for a test ride, and I was listening to him. And he said, "Thing sounds fantastic." He loves it. So it was great. It's a great bike.
I'm going to try to get a ride on it. So in price wise, it's close to the same. It's maybe $1,000 more than the Ducati.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to try to ride one at AIM.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I was going to that. Oh my God.
I'm really hoping that Harley is going to be there, not just a local.
Oh, they will. They will be. I was talking to Larry Little, the vice president of, he said, yeah, they're going to be there.
That's good. We're supposed to have Larry before, and I was going to, well, it's good to know because I want to ride one of them. So the other thing was the adventure bike.
Yeah.
Now, I got to tell you, it looks like, and you may have heard this, it looks like Bender, the robot from Futurama, had sex with an Electrolux, and this is what popped out.
Yeah.
That's funny.
What were they thinking on the front end of this thing?
Here's the thing, and people are saying, well, it kind of looks like it looks like a road glide with that same kind of fairing. I don't see it, but Bender. See now I got that image in my head, and that's all I'm going to be thinking. Damn you.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is something I don't want to see fail. I want it to be successful. I want to ride one. And the first year of everything is always kind of like, let's see what, it very well may come out again, or when it comes out in final production looking a little bit different. And it could also be one of those things like the first time I saw a V-Strom, in the picture it was like, oh, that thing's butt ugly. When I saw it in the showroom, I'm like, I kind of like that. Yeah. So it may be the same thing. We're not getting that many views of it right now.
You got to understand now. The thing is, when we say the first year the bike is out, boom. Now it's not actually the first year. Harley does things a little different than other manufacturers. Maybe other manufacturers do it the same way. I'm not sure, but this bike has been in development for a couple of years already. So they've
released to the public.
Yeah, exactly. The first release to the public is going to be, but
getting feedback, and how people like it and things like that. I'm not talking about. Plus, we all know that they could have a bike in development for a while, but once it gets out there in numbers, then the bugs start to come out a little bit, and things start to
I don't know. The R&D that Harley Davidson does is so extensive. They try to work all the crap out before it even hits the floor. because they don't want people coming back. Okay, well, this is a problem. This is a problem. They want to work that out before it gets to the consumer because they want that.
I guess I'm naive. I'm just surprised that there hasn't been any spy shot. I mean, they'd have to be running this thing off road, unless it's all done.
Well, they've got the video shows them off road riding it. Maybe they're who knows. For all we know, they're taking this thing like this out of the country and
it
riding.
could be. It could be. I mean, again, this is another thing I want to see them succeed at. I'm just hoping that they follow the form factor of some of the other XL adventure bikes. This is there's not a ton of motorcycles in this segment. The BMW GSA, the KTM 1290.
You got
Triumph.
actually you got the V-Strom Adventure. You got of course
that V-Strom Adventure. It's not a big XL like this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no.
These
are bigger bikes.
We're talking about the looks. Getting back to that, the thing is, it does look different than every other adventure bike out there. And Harley's, the way they approach it is, if you want a bike that looks like every other adventure bike, well, then go buy one of those other adventure bikes. This is distinctly Harley Davidson. You'll be able to notice that. Boom! Oh, that's a Harley. You don't even have to see the bar and shield on the tank.
You know what? It's okay as long as it performs.
Yeah, exactly.
It does what an adventure bike should do, and there's a certain level of comfort and performance. That's fine.
Yeah. I'm looking at this picture. I'm not super in love with the idea of integrating handguards and turn signals.
Yeah, but Ducati's done that for years.
I know.
I agree either. I mean, I'm excited about this bike, but I heard this said once before. I can't remember what other podcast I listened to, but the first time you come across a tree and smack a tree with your handlebars, they're done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, even most people take off the stock plastic handguards anyway and put on.
Yeah, I mean, also it's Harley. I mean, you're gonna have some giant chick on the back of that thing throwing her arm up to let everybody know when you're cornering. So,
see,
that's 350 pounds of leather. I'm not talking about her vest.
Wrong, but it felt so good
with that big arm fat flapping. She's like, left turn.
You're gonna be targeted for
there's no stereotype at all. I don't know what's none.
It's funny because the guy, you and I had a kind of conversation where you set me straight. Like, I've always had a bad taste in my mouth for the dealerships because, and to be fair, I go in there as kind of like a little bit of a dick and be like, hey, I'm interested in this Street 500. I've never ridden a motorcycle before. What do you think? And the guy's like, come here, man. You don't want that. Come see the Dynaglide. I've never ridden a motorcycle before. No. This is the bike you want right here. So, but Ted, you told me that's not the case, and all the dealers, a lot of them were really invested in doing.
Yeah, when I was thinking about after we talked about that, I was thinking, it almost seems like if anybody out there goes into a Harley Davidson dealer and they get a salesman or anybody there that has an attitude about the bikes, two things: A, get a hold of customer relations and complain. And two, it's possible that maybe they're not Harley fans, but they took a job to badmouth Harley just for the hell of it to keep people from coming in. I don't know, but I don't have that problem with any Harley Davidson dealer I've ever gone in. My local ones, I mean, their mottos are our bikes have the attitude, not the people.
Did you have the same experience? I'm being completely honest here. When the Buells were being sold,
well, that's going way back.
So I went to go look at it.
I never had any negative feedback. Everybody thought they were cool. It goes here, yeah, and they'll tell you anything you want to know about them. There was never any. Now you don't want this. Come over here to this. There was never any of that.
When I would go into Harley dealerships in my hometown when Buell was being sold, like there was, at least in this particular one, there was like, you go in, you go to ask about it, and the salesman, most of them were like, honestly, I don't really know much about this bike. If you want to like talk to somebody about it, they like, there was like a mechanic that worked in the back that was like the Buell guy. He loved them. He would always come out of the back and talk to people about Buells. And then the other salesman would just go back to selling Harleys.
Wow. See that? I mean, like I said, all the dealers that I here in Jersey, these people have a vested interest in their product, and they really go all out. You can ask them about any bike on the floor, and they will tell you everything you want to know about every single bike. I think maybe that's their hiring plan.
Yeah, maybe. And there's a good chance of like, you have good dealers around you. I didn't have a good. It's just, they're all going to vary.
But
Well,
I
to
think
be
it's
fair, the guys that I talked to knew their Harley product really well. They just didn't like when the Street first came out. They didn't like it. It wasn't that they didn't know about it. They weren't trying to steer me away from it because they didn't want to talk about it. They just felt like it wasn't. And I kind of, in a way, I understand that they felt it didn't live up to the brand expectation. Maybe.
Oh, certainly not. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll tell you this: when they first started showing these streets at my local dealer, I'd say, "Well, what do you think of the street?" And they'd get like a look on their face. Well, yeah, okay, it's okay, it's a good bike, and they'll tell you all about it. But you know what it is? It's an Asian bike that's been brought here to the U.S. to be sold here, and in an effort to attract a certain market. It doesn't have the same fit and finish as the other Harleys.
No, not at all. No.
They tried to do that with the Street Rod. It's better, but again, it's just not. You're going to see it go away.
Yeah. I did a test ride on the first Street 750 when it came out at AIM. James Razor and I did it together, and we both commented the chassis on that thing was absolutely horrible. The motor was great, but I looked at it and I'm thinking, man, this is a typical Japanese motorcycle. It's not a Harley Davidson.
That's like I said, it's an Asian bike.
Yeah.
Basically. It's I'm sorry.
What do you think about these? The Pan America? Do you think this is going to be built in? I don't know. Is it built in the United States completely?
This is going to be built in the U.S. There's no. It'd be silly for them to look, this whole thing about Harley's sending their bikes over to. They're building bikes overseas for the European market. That's why they're doing that. It's business sense. Ford does the same thing. GM does the same thing. So Harley's saying, no, let's save some money. Let's do the same thing.
Right.
This is going to be built here in the U.S. for the U.S. market. If people want to buy it overseas, they're going to do the same thing. I can't see them building this overseas and try to ship it back. The tariffs would just kill the price.
What do you think about the power plant on this? What do you think it's going to be?
Here's an interesting thing. We talked about this briefly a couple of weeks ago. If you look at this engine, and even if you look at the basically, put it this way, the Pan America, the Street Fighter, the Custom 1250, they're all sharing the same power plant.
Yeah.
Same power plant. It's just going to be different sizes. Now they're introducing 4 or actually maybe 5 engine sizes based on this platform. There's going to be.
Yeah, I just noticed it doesn't have that the air intake hanging out the right side of the engine.
No,
here's what it is. And Steve, we also mentioned this. What this is this whole engine is very. It shares a lot of commonality with the Revolution V-Rod engine.
Right.
Harley Davidson and Porsche each sunk $10 million into that program to develop that engine. So
let's do something with it, right?
Right. So now here's the thing. This engine that they're proposing that they're putting in the Pan America and the other 2 bikes, it's a 60-degree V-twin. What was the V-Rod engine? 60-degree V-twin. 4-valve. This one's a 4-valve also. 1250cc. The latest iteration, the last iteration of the V-Rod, which was called the Night Rod, had a 1250cc engine. So by all outward appearances, they basically took the technology from the V-Rod and say, hey, let's stick it in these new bikes. They're all sharing a tubular frame, which was the V-Rod. So, like I said, I can't see them spending $10 million on this technology, testing it for 17 years on a bike, and then just make it go away. Right. So they're reinvesting all that money into, 3 new products.
Do you think they'll have a prototype of this at AIM?
I don't see why not. Will they take that one that they at the dealer reveal that they did a couple weeks ago? They had the bike. They rode it out on stage. So I don't see why they wouldn't have it at AIM. That'd be crazy if they didn't. But who knows?
Yeah, I want to see it. I'm looking more and more at the photographs that are online, like that ADV Pulse had out, but I still, unless that front headlight is, well, I'm trying to be not make maybe it's maybe that's actually because there appears to be a light above it as well. Do you notice that, or is that an intake?
That's an intake.
That's an intake.
That is just for air. That's all
Okay.
that. To me, it looks like if I look at it close, looking at the front view right now, it looks as if. Let me try to zoom in on that a little bit for y'all. Right there. It's probably split left and right. There's probably 2 lights in there.
Right. I noticed below. Go. Let me click so that thing stays on the screen. So where this right here, where your cursor is, Ted, that looks like another little tiny fog light of some
Right
sort.
there on either side.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, it's probably like 2 spots, maybe
Right.
LED spots. But I think that's really cool. It's different than any other bike out there. And if they're going to be using like they're pretty much the day makers, for example, which they're putting in every single bike now. If that's a day maker, that's the kind of light you want out there on the trails.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the stock KTM lights were complete crap. I changed everything out to Cyclops. So I've got Cyclops LEDs and then a big LED Cyclops light bar underneath the main lights because you have to have it, especially when we were in Colorado and it was, becoming dusk and came around a corner and there was a deer way ahead of us. If I hadn't had those lights on there, I never would have seen
I
it.
never noticed it,
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
when you get under a canopy that's really thick, because I know different from mountain biking. When you get into a canopy like that, and it's really thick, and it could be broad daylight, but it gets when it's dark, and you get towards dusk, forget it.
Yeah.
Crash, what do you think of that? Like, you're not saying much.
I'm just staring at this thing like it's kind of growing on me, and I don't know if I like it. Like, I don't know if I like the fact that it's growing on me. Like when we were looking at it from the side, I was like, I kind of like this bike the more I stare at it. Even though I've talked a bunch of crap about how weird it looks. But like adventure bikes all look weird.
Well, that's one of the things that bother me about adventure bikes. They all have the beak.
Yeah, I mean KTM's
worse
like one
than
of the
others,
few. Yeah, one of the few that doesn't have a beak. The Super Tenere, but like still, even those like they look weird. There's this weird shape to them because they're so tall and big.
Yeah.
But I really do hope I get to see it in person. It's like
part of the reason,
like I said, kind of growing on me.
I don't particularly care for the color, but that's no big deal. That's nothing. I'm sure it's going to come out in a couple different
I'm
colors.
sure, knowing Harley Davidson, they're probably going to have like, who knows, probably 5 or 6 color options on this.
I kind of like the color.
It looks kind of military, I think,
I like the bar and shield on there. That's kind of neat the way they've done it.
Yeah, I like that one. That like kind of new, like similar tone bar and shield.
Simple.
I can tell you right now, one thing that's going to be universally accepted on all adventure bikes is that the seat and the windshield are going to not work for everyone. That.
Yeah.
That's pretty
I'm looking at that seat and I'm going like, I know that's not going to be comfortable.
Yeah, but there's plenty of people out there that know how to make seats, and a lot of them making seats for Harley too. So
the thing is also, you got to remember now, Harley Davidson is like the only motorcycle company in the world that after you're getting ready to drive away from the dealer and they go, oh, by the way, here, and they hand you a parts catalog that's 6 inches thick.
Right.
And after market everything you want to your Harley Davidson. I wouldn't surprise me if they have a whole crap load of aftermarket seats and stuff and everything ready for the potential buyer.
No, and that's been the genius thing about Harley Davidson is you can go in there, and in most cases you don't even have to wait. Like you can order the bike and then come back in the afternoon or tomorrow morning and it's ready to go. They have a lot of that stuff in stock.
Yeah.
And it's financed into your loan and you're done. You're walking out the door,
You go in to buy a $11,000 bike and you walk out with a $23,000 bike.
Well,
you can,
right, but
you
I
totally can.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's interesting about this is I know a lot of people were saying that how everything looks different on the bike, or how, especially with this one. Let's say Harley Davidson is not going to create their own brakes. They're not going to create their own tires. They're not going to create their own exhaust. They're going to use out there what's available. And this bike, they're using Brembo brakes. I can't remember where they're getting the exhaust from, but of course it's not their own. So they're taking the best of the best and slapping it on pretty much every product that doing these 3 new bikes that are out there now.
I really wouldn't be surprised too if not this model year or the next model year, they have the Bosch, the full ABS and electronic suspension and everything built into it as well.
I would. Yeah. This is going to be, as I understand, this is going to come with ABS on it.
Mm-hmm.
And traction control, that's the other thing. which Harley Davidson is they're looking into on their street bikes, but their mindset is humans ride the bike, let them decide how they're going to handle it. So I don't know that they're going to be introducing traction control on this bike.
Well, a lot of that, when that first came out on the off-road bikes, the adventure bikes, everybody, especially the guys who had a lot of dirt experience, poo-pooed that. They poo-pooed the ABS. And then as they refined those systems to work in the dirt, they came on board, and like, wow, this really works off-road,
More you introduce, the more things can go wrong. So
That's true. And that's BMW is a perfect example of that, where when they had the whole ignition ring thing debacle, where I know a couple people that were left stranded because of that. The thing crapped out, and there's no way you could bypass it. So here, get your bike now towed out of the Everglades.
I'm excited about it. I can't wait to see it. And I keep saying that my next bike is going to be the Harley Roadster. I know you said you didn't care for it. You rode it, right? You said you didn't.
I rode one, but it was a really poor test ride experience, to be honest. Well, like it wasn't the route was just straight line, turn around, straight line, back to the dealer.
See,
basically, yeah.
Was that a dealer thing?
Yeah, I went on Harley's website to look at their demo days.
Yeah.
And it said there was a demo day at this dealer. I walked in, they had no idea. They were like, "Oh, is there? Cool." It wasn't like a demo truck showed up. And so it's like, "Well, we have one, you can ride it." And me and one of the other guys who works at the dealership went out for like 2 minutes and came back.
What was the reason again? Did it crap out on you, or what was?
Oh, it just wasn't. It was like I could anything in a straight line feels pretty much the same as anything else in a straight line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I didn't care for the foot position. My feet felt like they were very, very far apart.
Mm.
Well, you know what is about that, and this was the only thing that I don't like about the Roadster is the foot pegs.
Yeah, the rear sets you can get from Harley that delete the passenger pegs, I think would be good. Like I'd probably like the bike a lot more.
Are you talking about replacing the passenger pegs with the foot pegs and making them that far rear set? What do you mean?
There's a kit from Harley that moves the foot pegs. If you look at where the passenger pegs are, they're directly under the butt of the rider.
Mm-hmm.
There's a kit that becomes the control location and relocates everything back, and then you don't have passenger pegs anymore.
Actually, well, I've seen them two ways. I've seen a kit that moves the pegs back about 6 inches. And then you're talking about
that 6 inches would probably be good too. Just
if you look at this picture that I have up on the screen, it just drops it basically right about where I got my cursor, right about there. Look right back there, which is fine. But I like this. The bike is a lot of fun. I just thought it was, and it's a shame that you didn't get to ride it the way you could have ridden it.
If I go, at AIM, if they've got them there to ride, I would love to get another chance.
Are you talking about a street rod?
No,
the Roadster. The Sportster Roadster.
Yeah. I sat on one of those and liked it a lot. I thought it was kind of cool. I've always kind of liked the Sportsters anyway.
What's great about this is it's got a 6-inch clearance, the ground clearance on this thing, and it's, of course, got the inverted forks. But I've seen guys like scrambler this thing up, throwing knobbies on it and raised exhaust, and having a blast on it.
Yeah. What do you think about the one that they're calling the future Street Fighter model? Because this, to me, looks like they're moving toward the sport bike line.
Yeah. I know you were pretty excited about this when we were talking about it.
I think it's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah. It's I'm pretty I'm not a sport bike guy. Never was. But this one kind of I'm interested to see how this is gonna go over with the general public.
Mm-hmm.
It's
listen, I maintain, Ted, that there are a lot of people out there that want to own a Harley Davidson but can't deal with the riding position on the majority of them.
And I find that really funny because I've never sat on any bikes that were as comfortable as sitting on a Harley Davidson or Indian.
It kills my back to have my feet like that. Yeah, I cannot, and it's so unintuitive for me to ride that way.
And I guess it depends upon what you're used to. I don't know, like my heritage, it's all I can do to stay awake on the thing because it's so damn comfortable. know?
You know, the Street Fighter and the Livewire look a lot alike.
Yeah.
In their shape, you know, and they're like,
it's hard to say if they're going to share the same geometry. It's obvious that the
yeah,
has got it's got that big honking motor hanging from underneath it there. So, but I'd really be curious to know what the geometry is on all these things for seat height and things like that. I would go out and limb to say this has probably got a higher seat height than the Livewire.
yeah.
You think?
I think so.
It looks a little more raised. I don't know.
Right.
It might just be the tank kind of making the bike look taller and beefier.
Maybe
in the top.
As far as goes, I mean, if in order for this bike to be competitive and to really get people to come in and get it, it's got to be priced just right. You know,
What are you thinking, like 17,000, 18,000?
I mean, God, if they do that, they're stupid. But I think it's got to come in around 14.5 or less.
Yeah, you know, me and Alonzo were talking the other day, and we recorded, so listeners, you'll hear that conversation as well. But like, he kind of made a decent point that like there's some spots in the middle of the country where like Harley is one of the only brands you can get within like a reasonable distance.
Mm-hmm.
And so like the adventure bike and the Street Fighter and stuff like that are like some people's not only opportunity, but one of very few opportunities to ride a motorcycle like that, because it's like, oh yeah, I'd love to have a BMW GS, but the BMW dealership is 600 miles away.
Wow. That's a shame.
No, I think this is smart for them. I think getting into this market, it's unfortunate though, because do you follow them, Ted, on Instagram?
Who's that? Harley?
Yeah.
I follow them everywhere.
Did you, who's got the backing horns going there somewhere? Is that you, Crash?
He just went quiet.
Yeah, there's a garbage truck outside.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna mute it.
So the comments on the post for the new bikes were, I mean, a lot of them were just hateful, you know?
I don't know if that's coming from the old guard or if that's coming from the long
new Yappy guard,
Harley haters. I don't know. I secretly believe that people who hate Harley Davidson are actually people who want to own one, but they can't afford it, or they just don't like what's being.
This was really specific, though. It was more about how they felt that they were moving away from the heritage of what the bikes were supposed to be.
That's just that they're really not. They're just adding another line to satisfy a different.
That's my argument.
Yeah.
Because the truth is you might get a guy that's like, 35 that buys one of these, or even younger, and then 10 years from now, he decides he wants to tour the country with his wife, and he's on an ultra classic.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. Harley's not necessarily interested in the younger riders. As a matter of speaking, those riders are committed at the moment right now. The younger riders are committed to their student loans, starting their careers and their families and stuff like that. So, and buying houses and things. So Harley is targeting more the stable market with what they sell, what their product is. Their ideal rider are those that are willing to make a long-term commitment to the brand. So the younger riders, guys in their 20s to 30s, unless if they're recent lottery winners, I don't see them guys going after these bikes. Maybe the Street Fighter if it comes in around 14.5. Maybe for Sportsters or the street models, but for bikes like the Livewire,
young guys on Sportsters.
Well, that's just it, because they're an affordable model.
Right.
The Roadsters, you max out the Roadster, you're 12,000. So
yeah, right.
I mean, that's even the bottom, even with the Street Series coming in at just right around 6, I believe. Yeah, right around 6, just a little over 6,000.
Yeah, the 568.99, the 750, 75.99, the street rods 86.99.
Yeah, the cheapest Sportster is 8,900. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
the 883, the super low. Actually, the super low is 86.99.
Yeah. And that even that bike, that's just an 883 is a great engine, and it's the Evolution engine is like probably the greatest engine ever made, in my opinion. But I mean, it's a good bike. You know, it's just great for going back and forth. You're not going to do a long ride on it, but again, for the guy who's just getting into riding, the gal is just getting into riding, and they want something that they can sit on flat foot and handle easily. Yeah, that's the bike range they want to be in.
Do you remember a campaign that Harley had back in the 80s on the 883 where you got 100% of your money back after a certain amount of time on a trade up?
They're running that now.
They are?
Yeah, they're doing
100%.
they're giving you the same amount you spent on the bike. They're giving that back if you trade it in a year later.
Huh.
That's awesome. That's
Oh,
like
yeah.
a no-brainer.
It's a great incentive. It's a great incentive.
Yeah. So the next one would be this custom. Now, they listed as future custom model.
Yeah.
A 1250. The term custom, that's been thrown around a lot in the models. Does that equate to something in the lineup?
No, that's for the lack of a name.
Okay.
They just don't have a name for it. It's just like with the FXDR, for example. Everybody's calling it the Doctor, but you know, because they didn't really want to pin a label on it, and I guess because they haven't released this yet, a lot of people are saying it looks like a Sportster 48 because it's got the big tires in the front. Let it be known, this custom 1250 is not a replacement for the Sportster. I've been told that the Sportster is not going to go away. There's going to be variations to it, and it's very likely going to adopt this new power plant.
Is there some sort of rhyme or reason to the naming convention? Like, does FX stand for something?
That goes with Harley Davidson's typical naming convention as far as it goes for their model branding.
Yeah, FX is the Dyna, right? Or is it Softail?
No, I can look that up for you right now,
Yeah.
but
Each letter has a different thing.
Yes, it has to do with like the X, for example. That was the XL. Oh God, I don't want to sound like too much of like an idiot, but without actually getting everything in front of me.
You're supposed to be the subject matter.
Yeah, it's a totally different thing, and you can go on forever and ever about it.
Oh, you know what? I forgot about the fact that, like, because Harley like redid their Dyna and Softail lines into like the same.
Yeah, they're all the Dynas.
Yeah, FX used to be Dynas because FXD was the Super Glide.
Right. Exactly. Very good.
Yeah, I got news for you. The FXDR still lives under the Dynaglides.
Right, and so FXDX was the Super Glide with the dual brakes in the front.
The FXDB is the Dynaglide. FXD is the Dyna Super Glide. Yeah, the FX is so yeah, that's all. That was all the Dyna series, all the FX.
Yeah.
Wow.
And FL is touring.
Yep.
And XL is Sportster, like Evolution engine. What is Softail then? This is bugging me.
Harley's the only current manufacturer right now producing a factory-made trike as well, correct?
No, well, factory-made trike.
Yeah.
Yes, because Hondas, I think you don't get those out of the box.
Nope. You got to have them. You go someplace else for that. Yeah. Harley's the only one from the factory. That's right.
Softails are FL.
Oh, yeah. So then what's touring? I thought FL was touring.
That's also FL is also touring. It's also yeah.
Okay. FLH is Softail Heritage, right?
That's correct.
Man, I know like a couple of random.
You know, see, talk
really,
about closet Harley guys. I think that's what we're talking about.
I like odd naming conventions. I think that might be why
I don't
remember that.
Harley Davidson gives their bikes names because they hate the whole FLG. No, because nobody wants numbers. Nobody can remember numbers.
Right.
Letters.
They should just stop making those designations at all. Like, don't tell us what they are.
Look, the way I look at it is it's better to be on two wheels than anything more. So if somebody's a potential rider that looks at, a Fat Bob or something and drools over it, then that's fine. Then let's get them on the bike because it's only going to help all of us as riders in the long run.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. It's as much as we make fun of the cruisers and, that whole buying into the Harley Davidson culture and being the hog member, fine. I don't care. As long as you're happy, that's what floats your boat. You're out riding a motorcycle, You got to get them to start waving at us, Ted, because we're getting sick of that.
As I wave at everybody that goes by, except for the slingshot guys. I don't wave at the slingshot.
It's not a motorcycle.
It's not a motorcycle. And why they
Hold on a second. Do you wave at scooter guys?
Absolutely.
So do
Man, I
I.
love scooters.
Absolutely. And then I've my brother, myself and my brother Chris, we have caught ourselves, and kind of like almost like apologize because like we would see you doing the scooter and wave to him and then kind of chuckle, and we don't mean to. But yeah, absolutely. Look, my brother Tim started out on a scooter he was on a scooter for like 4 or 5 years before.
Somebody at work, like somebody on base, rides a navy blue Vespa that I want it. I want to take it.
Dude,
It looks
Vespas
so
are
good.
badass. I love Vespas. For a while, I was interviewing nothing but scooter people. and
Yeah.
they're crazy.
Yeah.
Scooter people are a little nuts. I mean, really, you're gonna ride a scooter from South Africa to France.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys listen to Cleveland Moto podcast, like Phil is a scooter guy. He may sell and ride a lot of motorcycles, but he's a scooter guy.
Scooter guy.
And he's nuts.
Well, we know that. Yeah.
So is Paul Pellin. Paul Pellin's a scooter guy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Long haul Paul.
Yeah. I had him on the show a few weeks back. Great guy.
Paul's done like 1,500-mile trip for lunch on a scooter wearing a tuxedo and a top hat.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I mean, and the one video that they did that Liza did with Bagel on the scooter is one of my favorites. where
Yeah,
they're
that was
waved to him.
fun.
The little girl flips him off at the end.
I want like a Vespa styled scooter that's electric.
Well, you can
Like full size, not like a toy, but like Zero, but scooter, like scooter shaped.
absolutely. Why not?
I don't know. I don't think anybody's doing that
I
right
bet
now.
the Chinese probably are. There's probably a Chinese version of that out somewhere.
Yeah, that's true.
24-hour charging time, and you can go 30 feet with it.
Ted, you notice the headlight on the front of this custom?
Yeah, it's got the pretty much the same headlight that is on the Fat Bob.
I'm wondering if they're sticking 2 of those in the Pan America.
That's what I thought. Maybe it's just an extended one side by side. It looks like 2 headlights that are in the Pan America. Because most of your other adventure bikes do have 2 headlights.
Yeah. They're either stacked or they're like the BMWs are side by side. The KTMs are stacked.
Yeah.
I'm kind of digging the swing arm on this thing too, and that fat exhaust. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, they're definitely thinking outside the box when they did these bikes, and these are all water cooled too, which is a big switch for Harley.
I was going to ask you if that was an oil cooler up front or it's a combination radiator and an oil cooler maybe, because it looks like the top one might be
you got the hose right there.
Yeah, and the bottom one could be an oil cooler.
That one down there is it's a regulator. Is that what it is?
No. If you look at where the radiator.
Oh, here I just see right here.
Yeah, it looks like it's split in the middle.
Yeah,
very possible. Yeah,
man, this is the direction I like seeing them going in. I want them to be. I think. Do you feel like this was driven some by Indian, the competition out there? To
Not really. I really don't think so. Because if you look at what Indian's doing lately, the Indian just released their new models for 2019, and the running thing out there that I've heard a couple of podcasters say, if you put your finger over the badge, it looks like a Street Glide. They look very much like Harleys. With we're talking about the what's it called? It looks like a Heritage Classic.
Oh, okay.
That's the
That's the Chieftain?
Not the Chieftain.
The
Scout
Scout?
Horse? No, those are Chieftains.
Yeah, that looks like the Heritage. And then they're actually one of the bikes that's really looks nice that they make. It was the Dark Horse. That's a really, really nice bike. They did it right with that one. The Roadmaster's a great bike too. It's just freaking huge.
Right.
It's just a big ass bike. And,
oh yeah, the Dark Horse. It's a really interesting motorcycle in person. Like that headlight is just massive.
I know.
Chris, how come the track bike copy's not listed on here?
The FTR?
Yeah. It's not.
It's not on their website.
Not for the 2019 lineup. It's not.
Oh.
I know they were announcing that they were going to release that to the public, but I don't recall them saying when.
Don't we know somebody that like pre-ordered one though?
Yeah, Wes did.
Yeah.
Wes Fleming from the BMW Chasing the Horizon has got one on pre-order.
Yeah.
How about that? Yeah.
Maybe it's a 2020 model.
You know who you got to talk to if you really want to talk Indian motorcycles? You got to talk to my friend Larry Marshall over at the V-Twin blog. He is Indian guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a huge Indian guy. So if I can hook you up if you want. You can have him on your show, talk Indian.
I think the Scouts are kind of cool. I don't know. You know, everything that they're making, nothing really.
Yeah, nothing grabs me with Indian. I mean, the Scout's cool and all, and it's really super light. I'm just amazed at how light that bike is. I was more interested in the Victories when they were out. I just think Polaris dropping them was a big mistake. But
well, I was surprised that they didn't they didn't take on EBR for one to give them a sport bike. You know.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal was with that. I think Eric Buell got the shaft totally all the way around, everywhere.
No, I don't know how much of the story you know about him and Hero, the whole deal there, but from what I've heard, and I've never talked to Eric before, the guy's a great designer of motorcycles, but people have said in the past that the business end of it was suffering. I don't know if that was Eric's fault or not, honestly.
Well, in this last iteration, the things that went around when they got these other investors came in and they said, "Go ahead, start making bikes," and then all of a sudden, making bikes, and their words that they were saying was because they couldn't get any dealerships, which I think is a crock of crap. Really, I don't know. I think Eric's he had a great product. He was doing his own thing, and why he couldn't pull anybody in to really take it further than he did, I have no idea.
I don't know. I test rode one of the bikes and I fell in love with it. It was phenomenal. Yeah.
I mean, I'm like I said, I'm not a sport bike guy, but I thought the Lightning was a fantastic looking bike.
I mean, the last ones, I rode an SX, and man, that thing was ungodly fast and quick. And I got to do a ride with an AMA racer with Corey West. We did a private ride, and I had that thing at $140 in no time. Like,
wow,
it was super fast and just comfortable, and I liked everything about it. It was one of the first bikes I'd seen with that, the TFT color display.
And that was with the EBR engine, right? That wasn't with the Harley engine, right?
No. That was their final design, their engine, the one they actually were making in Milwaukee.
Right.
Not even their Rotax motor. It was something made by EBR.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was cool. And they had it at AIM. They had a bunch, and that was the other thing too. It was supposed to be a demo day, and they didn't have enough staff there to run the booth and run the demos.
Yeah, so I think when those investors came in and said, "Here, we're going to give you the money to go ahead and build these bikes," but they didn't leave them enough money for employment.
Maybe
bring it. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
You ever get a chance to ride a Ulysses?
I did a long time ago. I rode one.
I've never ridden one. I liked them when they came out.
I always thought they were ugly.
They are,
but they were kind of cool, and like that was one of the bikes I went to the dealership to look at, and couldn't get anyone there to talk to me about it. Didn't know anything about it. They really weren't. They didn't seem to care.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember the Buell Blast when it first came out, and it struck me then as the Street 500 strikes me now. I was like, you look at it, and okay, but nobody's really digging on it. But that's funny.
A lot of people learn how to ride on a Buell Blast, so that's for sure.
Yeah, a lot of Harley rider courses taught on the back of a Buell Blast.
And it's funny, that's what they're doing with the Street 500s now too.
Yeah. I mean, and I also think maybe that's the bike that some people of smaller stature should be starting on, just to start.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it's a nice short bike. It's not. I mean, you good luck getting parts now, but
yeah.
But I don't know. Well, what were we? I just want to say some thoughts on the bikes. The Pan America. I think that thing is going to weigh around 650, come in around 21K.
If that bike weighs 650, I'll be shocked. You mean wet or dry? Dry?
The
Oh,
thing looks every bit of 800 pounds.
what is what is a BMW 850 come in at? The GS 850. What does that come in at?
I'll tell you in a second. The 1200s are huge, but
Oh, yeah, can't forget they're like 800 pounds, I think.
yeah, but I mean, like my KTM 1290 Subaru Adventure with gas, without racks or bags on it, was 580. And
Really?
it's a light bike considering for that big of a motorcycle. I'll tell you. Hold on. I'll tell you what a GSA weighs.
The R1200 GSA wet is 564 pounds.
Really?
Wet? That's super light.
Yeah, that's crazy light.
But that's 2013 model, so that's weird. Let me look at the real website.
Let me see.
That sounds really light. And
580
really,
or less than that. That's the same as the KTM. About 580 pounds. I'll be surprised if the Harley comes in at that. If it does, I'll be really happy because
yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Let me see. The V Rod was coming in right close to 600 pounds, and if the engine is the same engine, yeah,
that doesn't sound too far off then.
You know, I don't see it coming in any heavier than that.
I want to see it with bags. I want to see what Harley does with typical aluminum,
they're not going to do their own
adventure bags.
They'll probably have bags, of some sort.
I guarantee you they'll be sourced out from somebody like everybody else's are. No one's making their own bags, Crash. You know that.
Yeah, I know. They all kind of, so a lot of them have their own sort of design,
Yeah,
if Harley does anything like that, I guarantee it's going to be a molded plastic.
So it'll probably be Shad, one of the largest manufacturers of bags.
Yeah,
more than likely.
But I figured the Pan America is going to come in right around $21K,
which would put it in line with the other.
Yeah, it'll be competitive.
Yeah,
I think if it comes in any more than that, they're going to price themselves out of work. The Street Fighter, like I said, that thing's going to probably come in around 500, 550. Like Sportster weight.
Yeah,
around 14.5 on price. And a custom 1200.
Boy, if that bike comes in at a lighter weight, it'll.
I think so because they're gonna want that to be more sporty. So they're gonna trim the fat off of that thing. I think.
Yeah, that thing will scream. On a lot of these bikes too, most of the weight's the exhaust system. So, especially you want to lighten a bike up for the track or for off road, you yank off the exhaust system.
Yeah, I mean, for example, with the new bike, the FXDR, they've got that new 2-in-1 exhaust on that thing. Spec wise, what is this thing coming in at?
Does Harley put catalytic converters in?
They are on this bike. The FXDR has got the catalytic converter on it. Most of the other bikes don't.
So looking at a picture of that bike, what I'm seeing is pipes. Is that a cover on the pipes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So all coming out of the exhaust port all the way to where it terminates, that kind of goldish looking color, that's a cover, right?
Cover.
Yeah. So you take all that off of there, including the catalytic converter, you're probably going to dump up a ton of weight.
Probably.
Yeah. It might be hot,
Yeah. These don't burn. They don't run hot, right? They never run hot.
No.
Well, because it's water cooled, it'll be a lot better.
Oh yeah, that'll be so much nicer.
Yeah, so much nicer. Well, this bike's coming in at 637 pounds. I think I saw. Yeah, 637. So, a little weighty.
That's a cool bike, though. That 140 rear tire, the whole thing looks pretty neat.
40 is awesome, dude. Oh my god, that's way cool. Let me see. The custom 1250. That's going to be about 600 pounds at least. I see them pricing that at probably around 15K. More than likely. But the live wire,
yeah.
If that thing weighs less than 500 pounds, I'll be surprised.
Yeah.
And that's going to probably go around 18K.
I like that bike a lot.
So, Ted, what's new in your motorcycling world besides the new Harley products?
For me, nothing.
Yeah, go on any fun rides or anything like that?
Well,
what are you riding right now?
I got a 2003 100th anniversary Harley Davidson Heritage Classic.
Okay.
I've got 50. I just turned 51,000 miles on it.
Springer front end.
Nope.
Fringe. No.
No.
Okay, good.
it's their 100th anniversary model. And it's you know it's a pretty bike for one.
Yeah.
I've had it for now. I got it in 2014, so I've had it for 4 years. I bought it with 25,000 miles on it.
So
That's
have
kind of
you
the iconic looking Harley Davidson?
Yeah, exactly.
have you you listened to Cleveland Moto? Do you know about the like I had never heard of the twin cam 88 motors having a like what was it? There's like a timing. There's like some kind of like failure that occurs in the head.
No,
I don't remember what it was.
This bike is, like I said, 51,000 miles on it. I've got the twin cam 88.
Yeah.
I have never ever had a problem with this engine ever. Everything about
the cam chain tensioner. That's what it is.
Right. There's the three types you can get. You can get the typical one that's in there, which is the stock one, and then there's a hydraulic one you can get, and then you can get a mechanical one put in. And
yeah,
these are simple upgrades that can be done. The previous owner of this bike, I believe he put in the hydraulic one. I have never had a problem with this bike. It's a pain in the ass if it does go, but
yeah.
Hey, you know, it is what it is. If it happens, it happens. But I haven't had any trouble with the bike, and it runs like a clock. Aside from my squeaky belt that I had a few years ago. But
if you could right now in the current Harley lineup, if you could have anything that's listed there, what would you take?
Oh, you're killing me.
If money wasn't an object, not including the CVOs because they're just like
they look great. I tell you what,
I want a CVO Road Glide.
The new CVO Road Glide is absolutely gorgeous. Oh man. You know, but the thing is, I have a big bike, but I'm not really a big bike guy. If I had my choice right now at this very moment, I'd go Fat Bob.
Yeah.
I had a chance to ride that, and man, what a fun bike that is. It's got some giddy up to it. It's got the power is unbelievable in that thing. It's super comfortable, and even without a windshield on it, the wind that you feel on that bike is minimal compared to all the other bikes that don't have windshields. I guess it's the geometry of the bike, the way it's laid out.
I just wish they made that bike with mid controls.
You know what? It's one of the things. Now, I like forward controls just for the comfort end of it, but this particular bike, I agree with you there. I wish it had the mid controls because the forward controls that they had on there, the brake pedal was a little bit too far forward, which means I had to stretch my toe a little bit too far to activate it. But aside from that, my bike was great. It was a lot of fun.
As much as I think it's kind of an oxymoron, I like the look of the Sport Glide.
You know, yeah, it's because I've seen it in person. I've never ridden one, but you can take the fairing off, you can take the bags off, and then it looks basically kind of like a lowrider.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the Sport Glide's look. I kind of dig that like low windshield with just bags and no top case. So like the Street Glide, I think looks kind of cool. The Road King, I think looks cool.
Now the Road King is just the fat lazy brother of the Heritage.
Yeah,
that's the way I look at it. I'm not a Road King fan, actually. It's not one of my favorite bikes.
I don't like the Road Glide.
Really, I do. That's my bike, man. I like that fairing.
Man,
have you ever ridden one?
No, I have not.
How about you? No. No. You know, I didn't think I would like it. I've never up until last year. They had a demo day over at the Harley Deer, and I said, you know, I've never ridden one, and I thought that fairing intimidated me because it's out there. It's way out there. It's not like right in front of you. It's out there. And I didn't think I would like it, but when I rode that bike, the handling is totally different because it's a frame mounted fairing. So it's like a scooter thing, you know. You turn the handlebars and the fairing still points the same way.
Yep.
But man, that bike was handled gorgeous and it was comfortable. There was no wind buffeting or nothing. It was just a fantastic ride. What a bike that is.
See, we're kind of used to that with a lot of the bikes. You know, my KTM, it's not a big giant fairing like that, but they're all mounted to the frame. That's the way the V-Strom was.
Yeah.
My Moto Guzzi was like that.
Very stable ride.
Just such a really good looking motorcycle, man.
It is.
The CVO, the paint job's gorgeous on it.
Oh my God. The CVO Road Glide is just insane. That red.
Okay, that does look good. I'll agree with that.
Have you ridden a new Goldwing by any chance, Ted?
No, you know what it is? I have not. I haven't ridden anything other than Harley Davidson, and I'll explain why. Anytime I've ever gone to Americade, and aside from I get my Harley rides in right away, and then I go to the other guys, and I want to ride their bikes, and they say, "Well, you should have been here at 7 o'clock yesterday morning to register,
Right.
go for a ride." And because none all their bikes are taken, and every time I would go, there was no way to get a ride, and even if you could, you have to go on this guided ride with the other group, and there's a little short loop that they would take you out on, which kind of turned me off. And you can't go to a local dealer anywhere and say, I want to take this bike for a ride, and they just no.
You can though if you go like the local Honda dealer told me to come back and they'd let me ride it anytime I want. I rode one at Daytona just because I happened to get there early one morning for that day and got in on it the first thing. But if I were you, I would go to a local dealer and tell them, look, I'm a local podcaster. This is our show, and I want to do a demo ride on a
I'll
Goldwing.
try that. Because I know the one dealer that has Honda, they have like 4 different bikes there, including Can-Am. And I've asked them to take a test ride, and they said we don't do test rides. So I was kind of disappointed with that. But I'll find another one, and I'll just see if I can do that.
I was really surprised at how nimble and fast and agile that bike was, and fun to ride. It's about 90 pounds lighter than the 2017 version of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And they just look so damn big.
Well, wait till you see it. It's not big. I saw one sitting next to a 17. It's noticeably smaller. They even there's very, very little storage in the bags. The bag actually kind of looks like the bike that Chris said he liked on the Harley, that small of a bag.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not a lot of storage in them. And they told us when we were talking to them at Daytona, they said they pulled their riders, and they were more looking for a weekend type thing. So whatever.
So this is totally unrelated to any of that stuff.
Sure.
But I'm going to say it anyway. I was just sitting here on I looked up the R1200 GS. BMW, there's a story up from like either 2 days ago or like 20 hours ago, depending on what website you're on, that they made an autonomous R1200 GS and then had it go around a test track.
I saw that. That freaked me out while I was watching that. The guy just stood there, hit a button, and the thing drove off. I have only one question. Why?
Yeah, I don't know why you'd necessarily want an autonomous motorcycle.
Yeah, I don't get it.
But I don't know. I guess if you're thinking of because personally, I would love an autonomous car. I would love to not have to drive my car because when I do, I'm usually driving it for like a long trip. I mean, a long trip, but even like 45 minutes to an hour. If I could pay zero attention and just do something else in that 45 minutes instead of drive, I would love that. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
The 5-hour drive I do to Mesa, Arizona, like a few times, like, once a quarter or so, or every month or whatever, depending on what's going on. Like, that would be the perfect time to just, all right, I'm going to do other stuff. I could record a podcast episode. I could, could do all kinds of stuff. I could do schoolwork or,
my farm is 5.5 hours from here. So I do that every 2 weeks. It'd be awesome.
I don't know if I would trust any autonomous motorcycle.
No. I mean, what's the point then?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, what would I do on the bike instead of actively ride it?
If you were on the bike by yourself, you're basically riding bitch to the bike.
Exactly.
Right? Why?
I just don't know what else I would do. Like, what else am I going to do with that time?
You're not going to sleep. That's for sure.
I'm not going to sleep. I'm not going to I can't get anything done because I'm on a motorcycle.
Right.
Like, it's not like I can just, I can't like eat or, write or text or get on my laptop or anything on a motorcycle anyway. I mean, I have texted from the back of my motorcycle, but it's very difficult.
You texted from the back of a motorcycle?
Yeah, I have done 1 or 2 times in my life. I have been riding and pulled my phone out and sent a text.
I've texted a lot on my bike. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, because I've got a holder where the phone sits up, and I've actually had a conversation FaceTime with somebody.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was on I-10 going. Not only was I going through Houston, on I-10, it was the pouring rain, lightning, and my office kept like calling me. So I FaceTime the administrative assistant, and she's like, "Where are you? You have a helmet on." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm riding in the rain."
If you're riding autonomous, this is what you can do when you're riding autonomous.
That would be Crash right there for sure.
I guess so.
What kind of dance is that, Crash? You know, I don't know.
I don't know. This is what you do when you're bored on a motorcycle.
What?
No, I can tell you. Wait a second. Hold on. I actually know who that is.
You do not.
That's Jed's from Jed's Moto right there.
Oh, is it really?
No.
No,
they're actually on the live chat right now on the YouTube page. So
that's hilarious.
But I can see Jed's doing that.
I've done stuff like that. Like, and the KTM has cruise control, so like I don't even have to lock the throttle or anything.
Where'd you find that, Ted? That's pretty funny.
Somebody posted it to my Facebook page, so I said, I got to share this, and I even said I got to do this one of these days.
Yeah.
Have you gotten off your bike and danced at a traffic light yet?
No.
I
haven't gotten that far.
You'll never find me doing something like that.
My favorite thing to do at traffic lights with other riders is like slap their kill switch or kick their bike down into gear.
Yeah.
Right as the light goes green.
You're an ass.
The guy's a Bikenberg, Justin, him and his crew, when they go out, if you don't have a rear fender on your bike, you get booped.
Yeah.
Yeah. You boop them with your front wheel.
Yep.
Anybody I know has a Harley, so they have a fender, so I can't do that.
Yeah, I've definitely done that a bunch too.
All right, so listen, we're well over an hour here.
Oh God.
Ted, why don't you give us the information on what you do and where you can be found and all your internet stuff.
All right. Well, the Motorcycle Men podcast, you can find us. Website is motorcyclemen.us on the interwebs. On Facebook, we are Motorcycle Men Podcast on Facebook. And we also links to our Instagram page and our YouTube channel. I'm slowly and surely trying to get some YouTube videos out. I'm very bad at that. But we do a podcast. Usually, we're also on Buzzsprout. That's where our hosting is. And there's links to that on our website. But we usually do a podcast, a live podcast from the studio, usually once every 2 weeks. Summer months we go usually once a month. But in between, I'm doing a lot of interviews. I have a series called Rider Rides where I interview anybody who rides a motorcycle, and they tell us about their motorcycle and why they like it and why they should have one and all that. I'm interviewing a lot of people from all walks of life, motorcycle people, and I'm starting to interview non-motorcycle people about certain roads and destinations that would be of interest to motorcycle riders.
We actually got a guy for you might like to talk to that does Best Motorcycle Roads TV.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll send you his information. He's got a bunch of cool stuff that he's collected over the years.
Aside from that, just waiting for the weather to get a little better to get out and get some rides in. Been too crappy.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite down here where it gets to be too hot and it's just brutal to go out.
Yeah, where are you in Florida?
South Florida, Broward County, like Palm Beach County, that area there.
Okay.
You've been through here before.
Little toasty, yeah. My wife and I are actually looking to move to the Keys, actually.
Man, I'm telling you, that's a real slow lifestyle, and if you're okay with that,
that's it, man. That's what I'm all about.
I go a little bit stir crazy after a couple days in the Keys.
Wow.
You should take up fishing too if you're going to go down there.
No, I got my cycling and I've got my Harley.
Yeah, well, it's nothing but.
It's not. It wouldn't be a full-time Florida thing anyway. We're going to do the snowbird thing.
Oh yeah, that's fine. There's a lot. I mean, from the upper Keys to Miami is a short drive, and there's a lot of cool stuff to see in Miami. There's a lot of culture there. There's a lot of really neat nightlife. The food's phenomenal in a lot of these places. So
I avoid cities at all cost. Generally,
yeah, I kind of like.
I have to say, I mean, I'm only, 30 minutes from New York City. I always say I go into New York City at least once a year to remind myself why I don't go to New York City.
I actually like New York City a lot, really.
I only go there for IMS. That's it.
Yeah, I won't ride a motorcycle there. That's for sure.
No.
Yeah. All right, man. We got a bunch more we could talk about. We could probably talk to you all night, but we got. I know I've definitely got some things for the next show to bring up. Crash, you got
Yeah.
anything else?
No, the contest, which hopefully this will get out before the contest is actually over. It's over in a couple days to win the Nomad tank bag. So caferacerpodcast.com/contest. You can also just go to Instagram and there's a link there and all that sort of fun stuff. You can find us in all the usual places: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Just look for Cafe Racer Podcast. And thanks to everyone that supports us on Patreon. We just got a couple new Patreon supporters, and I promise those of you that get sticker packs, your sticker packs will be in the mail soon. I was moving some stuff around and misplaced the stickers. So I have them now. So I can now I can meet my fiduciary responsibility and get you your stickers.
You said
Ted, how do you think this would look on your heritage?
Is that it? What is that? Is that? Oh, that's tank bag?
That's a Nomad tank bag we're giving away. Yeah.
Huge, dude. Wow. Now, I have a First Gear tank bag that I use.
It's great company. Yeah.
I love First Gear stuff.
Yep. All right, guys. Thank you. Thanks for supporting us. If you've never heard the Motorcycle Men, I strongly encourage you to listen to it. It's a very entertaining podcast, and Ted and the crew do a great job. So
we say stupid crap so you don't have to.
Huh?
We say stupid crap so you don't have to.
That's a really, I like that motto. That's good. I should have thought of that.
Yes.
Hey man, that's all I got.
All right, get out and ride.
See ya.